Good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Do you mind if we just stay there for the 2 hours? Just, I think that's all we need. In truth, often I refer to, we already are complete and whole. In truth, our spirit, what we are, is full and whole. That feeling is it. What is there is in a sense of inadequacy or lack? There's no lack. There's nothing missing, right? Connecting into that love, the peace. It's the peace of God, and there's nothing else. The only thing that's true and real is the one, love. So when we're aligned, use the word aligned, when we're aligned with that, do you need anything? Are you craving anything? Do you need to chase after the next thing? Are you like distracted by whatever? So it's like, if we take a moment like this, we're forced to, no distractions, because we're in a group setting, you have to follow social etiquette, so it helps us to not be distracted. This is a huge purpose of group gatherings, anytime we gather in person. It helps us to focus our crazy, distractible mind, and now we can tune in and allow the God presence. And then it's like, there it is. There it is. The only aim now is after we finish, when we stand up to go back into the world, how to retain that. Retain it, so as we're going through our next busy actions, instead of totally forgetting about this, shutting it off and just like right back under the treadmill mind, the other 99.9% of the time. The Course is brilliant because there's many, many paths to remember and awaken God and love. But it has a very broken down, step-by-step program with reminders upon reminders upon reminders. It's like, oh, you're off track again, back on track with your reminders. You know, there's 365 lessons to help us to, before we get so carried away into dark land, fear land, ego land. It's like, you can't get away that long because the reminders are like, remember the instructions for today. Once an hour, whatever it is for that day. Twice every half an hour. You know, pause for a minute and remember. Oh yeah, so you can't get caught off guard. You can't get off trails too far for too long. And so that's what, I've been doing it for years in a row without missing a day. Do you think I had some gains and benefits? It's the discipline that we require. In fact, it says an undisciplined mind can accomplish nothing. And what is true accomplishment? Not necessarily in material form in the world, but accomplishment of waking up and remember the peace. What greater accomplishment is there than that? And then out of that peace, now what needs to be done, our specific functions when we meet with people, go into the world, go into the bar on Halloween, all of it happens on its own. It's just a flow. It's just a spontaneous flow. The reason why I leave for a few minutes before our gatherings, because that's what I do. I just still the mind. Just still the mind. Out of the stillness, this spontaneity comes. I don't know what I'm going to say, so all of this just comes. It just comes. Of course, there's an intention behind it too. It's not just still for no reason. That might be a little boring and flat. It is always to be in service in this case. I step back and let you lead the way so that we may all remember, gain, grow. Yeah.
Can you remind us of like what the theme was last week? I just need to reconnect to it.
Yes, good call. We were going off projection, so the dynamics of the mind, how projection, we project all the time, that is making up our perceptions. Because by default, our ego mind, we look at the world, we judge things. You shouldn't be doing that. Oh, I like that, that's good. Because we think that's just existing outside of us. But no, our own projections, what we are already thinking, what we already have pre-concluded, all of our judgments and evaluations about everything. We're just shining it outward at all times. We're seeing our own judgments, and then we're like, hey, You're right. We're blaming and judging that, but it's only our mind activity we're throwing out there and then condemning. So in that sense, when you understand, you're not condemning them at all. You're condemning your own mind, yourself, really. One who is condemning himself. There's no other way. It's the filter that we're looking through of either judgment or there's a positive ways to project, right? Through the appreciative, grateful eyes. So then if you're genuinely appreciative, you go outside and you just feel great and that shines from you and you just notice the beauty, you notice the leaves and positive symbols. But again, you're seeing what your own mind is already doing. You're throwing that gratitude and it's like, oh, everything's so wonderful. But you change your mood, suddenly nothing's wonderful. You don't notice the beautiful thing, you just notice the dirt now, you notice the grind, you notice the negative stuff. So this is why back to an undisciplined mind can accomplish nothing, because without the discipline, without the awareness that our mind is constantly working and working unconsciously, we have to get hold of what's going on, like what's going on here. It's the inwards turning. And then you sort this out, you align with it. There's the peace, there's the love. Well, of course, the conditions start to shift and change because now the reality is coming from you. It is always coming from us. So the sooner we get attentive here, the sooner we can actually take control of our life. The sooner we can actually experience something better rather than always condemning and blaming and the government and the government and the government. Well, you're not going to the cause. Where is the cause of reality? How we are looking at things, how we are labeling things, how we're judging things. If you're only ever stuck on the problem, all of your co-creative powers, your creative powers are going to that which you do not want. Where does that leave any room for the thing you do want, for the good, for the actual change? Stop it. Okay, and that's what we do in this quiet time with the light. This is where our true, unshakable power is. Now, go in the world, you're going to have a different experience. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, I've been noticing that it's like becoming very blatant to see other people's projections.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some very recently, that were so, the whole cultural wars, and people are calling people out. You just see how they're really calling themselves out. They're like, that, you should do better than that. Mm-hmm. I'm expecting more from you. And then it's what they're really it's like their guilt that they're just projecting. Mm-hmm. And I'm just very, very present to that. And I also see how it's so much harder seeing our projections.
Yes.
Because that's the real hard one.
Yeah.
It's
that's why we need the mirror or record,
But even to see the things that are happening to us are our projections. Always, and but this happens to me all the time. So it's the other person. I can't be me. But it's to just really see it. This isn't me. We just created this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
and then to catch
right.
it, and then be able to let it go, whatever meaning we've created, and project it onto people,
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. The whole purpose of the invention of this projection, so that we can blame and offset our own guilt. We want to get rid of our guilt. That's why we project. Oh, I feel better. It's their fault now. Really I'm innocent. That's the whole trick of the ego.
Getting rid of our guilt is the big thing.
And the reason why it's hard to notice is because as soon as we do that, we then cover over that up. And this process, it relies on our forgetting immediately that we are doing it. Mm-hmm. So the veil of forgetting, the veil of amnesia, that is what we're stuck in. Everybody's in denial because we've got this forgetfulness. We don't want to lift off the veil of amnesia and forgetting, because that means we'll have to actually pull all responsibility back, look at ourselves, really look everywhere. All the dark spots, the shameful spots, all the crap we've been writing and hiding from our whole life. Ultimately, we're running because we think we're pretty screwed up and we're no longer lovable, we're no longer good enough. We're definitely going to be judged and condemned and attacked by anybody and everybody, from people in the world to systems in the world to ultimately, in the big picture, God will find us and punish us and condemn us. And we're going to be in trouble, and it's going to hurt, and that's going to be terrifying. So we got to keep offsetting our guilt. I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble. You're in trouble. Forget about it. Forget about it. Ooh, this is what we're trying to undo. We're shining the spotlight on everything I'm talking about.
So there's like an undoing, but then there's also going to be a new choice. Yeah.
It has to be a new choice.
Yeah.
That's
it's like
where.
making that new choice, like seeing it and be like, okay, I'm going to choose something different.
So that is the whole aim. Yes.
Then you meditate and then clear up your mind, and then it's gonna come.
Yes, because we don't realize we have a choice point in how we're creating a reality and running from punishment. It really is. That's why we have to be mindful enough, calm enough, catch yourself, practice the pause, and then always go back and now choose again. Choose differently this time. You can try again, just choose better this time. But don't do it alone. We can't actually do it alone. We need the help of spirit. Alone, it's like the ego cannot figure out its way out of the maze because it designed the maze to keep us stuck in the maze. There's no out at all, at all. It has to be a full surrender, right? It's only God. What does AA do? The people who have hit rock bottom with all addictions, there's no bypassing. You have to acknowledge, I have no control. No control. There's only the higher power that can help me out of this. Otherwise, on my own, I'm going to die, literally. It's true. It's absolutely true. So when we realize, we choose again, help me God, help me Jesus, help me Spirit, and then it's like, okay, oh, okay, that feels better. Ultimately, the choice is, oh, I'm not in trouble. I'm not a miserable, sinful, right? I'm actually still loved, still accepted, still innocent. My spirit is still pure and innocent and love so much forever and forever. That's what we are blocking off. Our ego, that's the last thing our ego wants us to discover and find out. The greatest fear of any and all fears, you name them, the greatest fear is discovering that perfection of us, our pure divine light, because it means our whole self-identity as this ego, as a separate person, as a body, everything we know about ourselves fizzles away. We're not actually that. We're still the light. The ego it won't exist. What do you mean? We're all one. What do you mean? It's all love. What do you mean? The ego it's completely diametrically opposed, those thought systems of ego, basically our body and our personality, and the kingdom, our eternal nature. Two opposite. So here's the summary to re-summarize yet again. Only one of these is true. One of them is true. Understanding this is the release from all pain and suffering. Only love is real. Only God is real. Only our love and innocence is real forever because it's eternal forever, forever. Our ego has made up a temporary, temporal, finite nonsense world, body. It's very limited and temporary. Everything that's material is ultimately unreal. It's part of the not real realm. So we don't have to make a big fuss about it. We don't have to be afraid. If our fear is rooted on something that's temporary, well, in philosophy, that's their definition. If something's not permanent, it's not real. So that's why only God is reality. And we just got to keep shifting over and over and over and over and over. This is the retraining from false and untrue and illusions to truth, eternity, love, the light, heaven, oneness.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.